that's what you want. I'll be the demon if that's what you need. I'll be the villain if that's what you gotta believe. I'll be the villain if I have to, 'cause you can't see another point of view. They hate me because I tell the truth. I'll be the villain if that's what you want. I'll be the demon if that's what you need. I'll be the villain if that's what you gotta believe. They criticize me at all costs. I know maybe that hope is lost. There's more to gain from lying than telling the truth. So I'll be the villain if that's what you want. I'll be the demon if that's what you need. I'll be the villain if that's what you gotta believe. Even the devil's got a price. Even the devil's gotta sleep at night. They hate me 'cause I put up a fight. There's two sides to every story, yours, mine, and the truth. There's nothing that they will not do. 'Cause I'll be the villain if that's what you want. I'll be the demon if that's what you need. I'll be the villain if that's what you gotta believe. I'll be the villain if I have to, 'cause you can't see another point of view. They hate me because I tell the truth. So I'll be the villain if that's what you want. I'll be the demon if that's what you need. I'll be the villain if that's what you gotta believe. What up, guys? Welcome to the Just Pearly Things YouTube channel, and welcome to another episode of Pearl Daily. That is my original song. I will be the villain if I have to. Now I'm gonna switch to this cam today. All right, we're gonna go back here. Today we have a special. Oh my gosh. You know, we're still struggle streaming out here. Today we have a special show. We have a special show. Hold on. All right. Guys, before we start, as you already know, please go to the audacitynetwork.com and sign up for our memberships. This is going to give you first access to our documentaries and our one-on-one interviews. As you guys know, YouTube has demonetized me. I've been banned off of Instagram 3 times. I have been banned off of TikTok 7 times. And really, we're the only free speech platform. People are still getting banned off of X. People are still getting banned off of all these places. You know, we noticed a couple of issues that we're having, you know, in the media. Everyone just seems to be bought. Everyone seems to have a price. So I wanted to create a network that was funded by the people for the people. Okay, so today's topic. You know, for the past year, I have been demonized, villainized. Pearl has been the evil, evil villain. Right, Blessing?
Right.
I mean, what do they say about me, Blessing? They don't... I'm not that bad, right?
You know.
But if you ask these women on Twitter and X, you would damn near think I killed somebody or something. You know what I mean?
Damn.
No, it's like the way I'm a tax-paying citizen. Am I not, Blessing?
Facts.
You know, I've never committed a crime.
Paid more taxes than these 3 or 4.
I've never committed a crime, right?
Facts.
You know, what have I done? What is my sin? I've said words that women do not like.
The truth.
So I want to tell you guys a story. So when I first got into red pill content, it actually started as a curiosity thing for me. So at the time, this was a couple of years ago, and I I ran into men's pickup. And essentially what men's pickup is this is men teaching each other how to get laid, and I couldn't believe it. I had no idea how much men had to put thought into getting us to sleep with them. Isn't that crazy, Blessing?
Raw. Wow.
I didn't know you guys had to think about, like, making the experience more fun for her, coming up with these dates for us to go on. I just thought it was easy for the guys. I just thought being a smooth criminal was just how you guys were born. Is that not the case, Blessing?
Not the case at all.
Yeah, and then so it was kind of funny. I ended up going to this pickup conference. Now, this is a conference where men pay, like, I don't know, $5,000 to go learn how to sleep with women in a weekend. And mind you, I came from a pretty sheltered background. I had 9 siblings growing up. I grew up, well, I wouldn't say sheltered. Maybe sheltered isn't the right word, because we did travel the world as a family. But I guess I didn't really see as much of the craziness in society. I would say I was sheltered from a bit of it. So anyways, so I am doing my thing. I'm going to this pickup and I'm reacting to videos. And at the time, I did a bunch of reactions every day. And I would react to, like, alpha male strategies. I would react to Kevin Samuels. And, they would talk about these, like, maybe tricks, I guess, to get women to hook up with you. And I would think at the time, I was like, does this work? Is this true? This can't be true. And this was kind of like basic things at the time, which are kind of well known now. But a couple of years ago, this stuff wasn't as mainstream, I would say, as it is now. Now it's if I say, women don't like nice guys, Blessing, what would you say?
True, true statement.
But it's kind of like, obviously. But back then I was like, wow, I never thought about that. Anyway, so I end up going on Fresh and Fit a couple of years ago. So this is like 3 years back. I go on Fresh and Fit. And I actually argued a lot of the same points that I see TradCon women argue today. I had the cope of not all women are like that. I had the cope of, well, maybe it's just the women you guys are picking. I had the cope of, well, high value men don't cheat. And through the process of interviewing 1,000 women, what I came to realize was that Myron was actually, and at the time I thought I wasn't the biggest fan of him. I thought he was rude. I thought he was crass. I didn't understand why he said things the way he said things. And so I went off and I went back to England and I said, you know what? I'm going to start reacting to content with some of my friends. And maybe if I could explain some of this stuff in a different way. And it wasn't always the red pill stuff. Sometimes it kind of started with conservative content, Thomas Sowell, Jordan Peterson. I'd bring a friend from basketball or volleyball and I would say, come on, let's watch this content. And it was kind of interesting because you could see their minds sort of changing over time. Now, then we also started reacting to, like, relationship content. And what I realized during this process was that Myron was right about pretty much everything. And a lot of the people that were denying this stuff were living examples of it. For example, one thing that I at the time thought wasn't true was that high value men cheat. I thought that there is no way that's true. My dad was a stand-up guy. He never cheated. And, I guess there were some stories where I lived, but I wouldn't say that was the norm. And at the time, Myron said they're in a different time. And I thought, no, that can't be true. Until I would have guys come on here, they would argue that high-value men shouldn't cheat, right? And then you'd find out they're hooking up with like 3 chicks that I know. And you realize half of these guys are cap because they want to look good for the camera. And really, the guys in the red pill space were the only ones being honest. Ladies, look at, and I started to look at data and I realized the way that most people meet nowadays is Instagram and dating apps. And on dating apps, you can see what women truly want and where we're a little bit more honest. Well, we swipe right 5% of the time, 10% of the time. So I couldn't believe it. I thought, well, oh my gosh, we're sharing then. And then I thought, and then, it got even crazier because then I started to see it in real life. I would ask women, have you ever had a cheating boyfriend? Blessing, did these chicks have cheating boyfriends?
Not really.
What are you talking about? None of the girls that we interviewed had exes that cheated.
Nah, I was just selling dreams.
See this? I'm like, Blessing, what are you talking about? And so then I started to realize, and this is the thing, the men all know this. Because the men have like group chat, like the red pill, it's very different than what you guys think. A lot of times the women will come out and the men, the simps, will come out and denounce red pill. All the red pill is forums the last like 20 years trying to increase men's sexual power, I guess is one way to say it. It's the same way. Imagine if me and like 5 girls are talking and one girl says, you know what? I was able to attract higher quality men after a boob job. And then imagine all the men come in and say, that is degeneracy. That's like how you guys sound. The guys are saying, I was able to get laid using this strategy. And then you guys all come in and say, that's evil. That's degeneracy. Basically, and these are conversations that men have behind the scenes anyway. So what I realized in this process was that Myron was the only one being honest. And it would be the weirdest thing. Like I had one guy come on the show, argued tooth and nail that cheating is wrong, da-da-da-da-da. I found out, because guys, you hear things behind the scenes, you get gossip, right, Blessing?
Right.
People talk. This dude, him and his girlfriend would like take women home together. So it was all these like hoops, all this like random stuff. And you're just like, And so what I realized was that everybody was lying. Men lie because they want to get laid. And it's not really worth the trouble to them. It's not worth the trouble to deal with these old, bitter, single women crying on the internet. Just look at what happens to me. When I say, men like younger women, they start calling me a pedo. What evidence do they have? None. When I say that men like younger women, they start calling me ugly. They start calling me gay. They will, dig for any negative thing they can find. They'll go through, they'll bring up an ex-boyfriend. They'll bring up clips from years ago, all in an effort to destroy me. All because I said men like younger chicks. And I want you guys to pay attention to the way that women respond to the red pill. I guarantee, and the way they respond to me, I guarantee that is the way they respond to their husband when he says information they don't like. So, I come from the position that I look for patterns. Now, guys, during this whole period, I interviewed women all over the world. A lot of times one criticism I get, and it's really interesting, is that I only talk to a certain type of women. So just off the top of my head, I was thinking of all the places I've done interviews, talked to people about relationships. London, obviously. Ireland, I've done it. I went to India. I've done Miami, Nashville, uh, Florida. And this is just off the top of my head, Vegas, LA. Like, I've done panels all over the world. And what I noticed, and the interesting thing about London is I interviewed women, Italy, Spain, Zimbabwe. And, I didn't really notice that much difference. I didn't notice a difference in the quality. And I think sometimes they try to sell men dreams by saying, we'll find a good Christian woman, didn't really see a difference. They'll try to divide it by race, didn't really see a difference. They'll try to divide it by religion, the Muslim women, the Christian women. And I guess there's some difference, but it's not significant, guys. The answers I noticed were pretty much the same. And I want to talk about the categories of women that I found. So, the real enemies in all of this are old, single, bitter women. And there's a couple categories of these women. Number one is the single mothers. The single mothers tend to have, there's two types of single mothers. The first single mother dated a man that she couldn't keep. Maybe he was a cheater. Maybe he was a drug dealer. Maybe he was just a high status guy. And she is bitter because she will never love a man like she loved him. Whenever women complain about their toxic ex, sperm donor, baby daddy, ex-husband, abusive, that's a big one, those tend to be the guys that they loved the most and will never actually get over. Even if these women remarry, they will never love their husbands the same. How did I know this? Well, one, you get message after message, story after story of the new husband complaining about the woman cheating with the ex. And the second is, hate is closer to love. And you notice that the guy that women can't shut up about tends to be the one that they loved the most. Now, the second type of single mother is the divorcee who made up a stupid reason for leaving. So many times, these women marry a guy they don't like that much because they are scared of being alone. And so what happens is they get into a relationship with a guy. They maybe loved an ex more or loved someone else, whatever. And they married this guy out of fear. Fear of being alone, fear of not finding somebody. And you can never make a good decision out of fear. I see this a lot with the trad wives. Many of the trad women got married young. And by the way, I think getting married young is better. But we can see it all over your face, in your body language, and the way you speak about your husband. We can tell you don't like him. And these women are old and bitter, and they wish, many of them feel like they missed out because they had a family and children young. And I become the bad guy. I become the villain. So how can you tell? Oh, wait, actually. So that's the single mother group that gets mad. The next group that gets mad is women that are not single mothers. They're married, but they don't like their husbands. How can you tell if a woman doesn't like her husband? These are women, again, they're still with the guy they're not into. Many of these women divorce their husbands or stop sleeping with their husbands after the children. If a woman does not take her husband's last name, they are not that into him. Many women will give the excuse of legal repercussions or it's too hard. Many of these women will say, well, it's for the brand that they're building, but when you want to be with a guy, there is nothing you want more than to be associated with him. Right, Blessing?
Right.
Women will go through hell and high water to be with a man they love. And if women aren't taking a man's last name, she is just not that into him. If they are different religions, you know, you are supposed to submit to your husband in all things. So if they are different religions, that tells me that she does not trust her husband enough to make that decision. She's just not that into him. And they make it everybody else's problem. Like I made you do that. That's not my problem. Another way that I can tell is they don't look to him to speak first. They're just not that into him. They're just not. Who moved to who? Did he move to be with her or did she move to be with him? Again, women that want to be with a guy will get on a plane, they'll get on a boat, they will meet you anywhere in the world because they want to be with you. And the problem with older, bitter, single women is they tell women that they are the prize. And the problem is you will never be happy with a guy that treats you like the prize. You just won't. Women hate men that put them on a pedestal. Another way you can tell if women don't like their husbands if they were friends first. When a woman wants to be with a guy, she will not friend zone him. Women don't even care if you have a girlfriend or a wife or whatever. I'm just being honest, guys. Women will hunt you down if they want to be with you. And so women that friend zone men, they tend to date their first choice and keep that person as a backup. So we have the single mothers that are bitter. Then we have the women that don't actually like their husbands. Then we have the ex-prostitutes. Now, I actually prefer prostitutes to most tradcon women because at least the prostitutes are honest. Look, prostitutes oftentimes want all the benefits of being a prostitute, the sexual attention and the money, with none of the consequences later. You know, women, I don't really care. Do what you want. But please do not go be a prostitute and find God at 29. I'm going to be irritated. I'm going to be annoyed and I'm not going to believe you. So, who else do we have, blessing? Who else gets bitter? It's the old women. Oh, the older women that wasted their youth. Now, many women screw up their lives and they decide to make it everyone's problem. It is not my problem. If you wasted your entire youth partying, going crazy, it's not really any of our problems. So these women, they get mad at me. And I want to go to the whiteboard in a second. Oh, wait, can you give me my backpack? Because I have the new markers in there. I want to talk about what sets these women off and what information they don't want men to really share. I think the markers are in there. Yeah, women over 35. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I forgot the charger too. My bad. Someone said in the chat, at least prostitutes have an honest living. Tom Twain on the Audacity Network says they would love you if they would only tell them what you want to hear. And ladies, look, I am not the enemy. I'm not. I'm telling you, I'm not. The real enemy is these simps and these old, bitter, single women with nothing better to do. I really want to talk to the women that want to win. You know, many people will talk about the realities of modern dating, including myself. Women have higher standards than ever. Women are fatter than ever. Women are sluttier than ever. They have more tattoos. And I say to women, they have more mental disorders. They're more on medication. They're out drinking men. And for the women that want to win, this just means less competition. I see average women winning all the time. I have even seen old women outcompete 19-year-olds. This doesn't happen often, but I've seen it. I've seen a 35-year-old chick outcompete a 19-year-old. And do you know how that 35-year-old chick did it? She did not think she was the prize. She did not, say, she made it so easy to be with her. She didn't worry about the other women. She just focused on making his life better. She didn't say, oh, he has to earn me. And she won. Now, that is the exception. It's not the rule, but let's go. Okay. All right. So this is what I've noticed about the single mothers, the old ladies, and the prostitutes. This is the information that makes them mad. This is, if you want to trigger women, this will trigger them. Younger women are hotter. If you ever indicate that women are not that hot in their 30s and 40s and really are at their peak by a significant amount in their 20s, old women get very upset with me. Now, there's a couple ways they combat this. They try to call you a pedo, which is actually quite evil, okay? They'll say, oh, they'll try to point out my age because I'm 27, and they'll try to say, well, my age negates the point, which still is younger women are hotter. They'll talk about J-Lo. Bitch, are you J-Lo? Do any of you hoes look like J-Lo? They might bring up this Indian chick in her 40s or 50s that's pretty attractive. Do any of you ladies look like these women you're bringing up? Now, you can typically tell if the women get triggered by this, they're typically narcissists. And the reason being is nobody has told them in their whole life that they're average looking and they are not the shit. How do I deal with all of the criticism I get online? Well, I want to thank my brothers right now. Shout out to Austin and Adam. You guys are awesome. Thank you for bullying me as a child. Because none of you hoes can get to me because my brothers made sure I knew that I was not the shit. Humility is a good thing, ladies. It's really not a bad thing. Now, okay, so number 2 thing that triggers the men prefer virgins. Now, maybe we could say body count under 5, whatever we want to say. But in general, men prefer less sexual partners. Now, the cope that we get tends to be Pearl, and this is what happened to me on Pierce Morgan. Pearl, and this is how, when women get information they don't like, they insult me. Well, Pearl, are you a virgin? Obviously, I'm born again, just like the rest of you crazy hoes. I'm just kidding. But, so that's the number 1. They attack you personally. Then they say, what else do they say? When you say men prefer virgins, they'll say, no, not true. Oh, then the fun one. Incel. They'll call men incels. Okay. Younger women are hotter. Men prefer virgins. Men prefer... Oh, wait. You know what? I'm going to say this in a better way. The best women tend to marry before 25. Now, again, many women will come at me and say, Pearl, but you didn't marry before 25. Well, look, sometimes you're a B or a C player. But, the same way we can look at Michael Jordan and say he was the best in the league. Why can't women admit that the A+ women, the best, get chosen first? Why is this so? I mean, guys, not everyone can be an A player. Sometimes, the best women, men don't, if I talk about anything, geriatric pregnancy, equals 35. Anything that reminds, I know my handwriting sucks, guys, but anything that reminds women that they age. Are you guys crazy? Are you guys nuts? Okay, 4. Men don't want single mothers. All right, if I talk about any of the stats around single motherhood, if I say, hey, men have no interest, let me stand over here. Men have no interest in raising another man's children. You're actually quite selfish for the most part if you divorce. If I say single mothers raise criminals, homeless, simps, the copes tend to be that they are special and the exception, even though they most likely are not special or not the exception. The next thing women get mad at me for, Pearl's in the F league. Hey, you know what? We all rude. All right. So, all right, 5. Men don't want single mothers. They like the hot chicks. The best women marry before 25. They prefer virgins. What else am I missing, guys? Let me know in the chat. What am I missing? What am I missing? I think the chat can help me. Oh. You guys are putting in some good stuff. The Black Ice Podcast. Oh, anything that indicates women are not the shit. Women will never have the value that the high value men do. Even if you are a peak value woman in terms of fertility, youth, at 25, at 45, it'll be gone or close to it. Men, on the other hand, will always be the prize. The men that we want will always, always, always be the prize. And the problem with traditional dating advice is they tell women that we are so special, amazing, and awesome and just the prize. And if I ever say anything that indicates that women are not the shit, I become a sexist, misogynist, woman hater. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? I have 4 sisters. I love them dearly. But personally, I want to talk to the women that want to win. That want to win in this crazy marketplace. You will never win thinking that you are the prize. Now, the next thing that pisses women off is when I ever indicate that men don't like tattoos, piercings, and colored hair. Now, to be fair, any woman that is hot enough does in fact get away with this. Yup. Men will take a woman with a chest tattoo over being overweight. Right, Blessing?
Right.
Being ugly is the greatest crime. But if men have to pick, they're not picking a bunch of tattoos, a bunch of piercings, colored hair, short hair. It's just not their thing. Men want women that look like women, not men. Now, this is all basic. Our mothers and grandmothers used to tell us this stuff, but we are all so confused because I am not the enemy. You guys have made me the enemy. I am not the enemy. The enemy is the old, bitter, single mothers, prostitutes, escorts that are not honest. There is a difference between a single mother that says she fucked up her life and a single mother that constantly is blaming the baby daddy and abusive men. Being a single mother, escort, or even an old single woman does not necessarily mean they're a bad person. But what it does mean is they've made some bad choices. And more often than not, I see women shame men for not wanting them, shame men for their standards. And more often, what I see is them lying to younger women. Men lie to younger women to get laid. Women lie to younger women so they don't have to be alone in their misery. And you guys can demonize me all you want, but I'm one of the few people that's being honest, where most women will just lie to you for a lifetime. Unless you have J-Lo money and J-Lo looks, the future is not bright for most women. I'm going to go back to the other place. I might come back later, though. Now, wrong one. Now, what do women, so when there is information that women do not like, information that makes them feel icky, some of this information may be information that men tell each other on how to get laid. Now, ladies, I do not want to hear shit. I don't want to hear shit about the men being so evil for sleeping around if we are not virgins on our wedding nights. Look it, less than 3% of women are waiting for marriage. That is an admirable thing to do. I would say, young women, guard your purity. But women are in control of the sexual marketplace. Very few men can sleep around. So crying on the internet all day about the men being so evil for exploring their options. Now, one thing that Myron gets a lot of flack for. Now, Myron gets a lot of flack because Myron says to sleep with 50 women before you settle down with one. Can I have a water, Blessing? I'm spitting right now. Now, when I first heard that, I thought that was bad. I mean, you're just using these women. Isn't that terrible? Da, 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 da. But what I realized through these shows is that men have no choice. Now, I know this sounds crazy. Just be a man. The average woman, I don't know what the average body count is. I really don't, guys. I couldn't tell you. But based on what the data that I've seen, it's more than 20. Okay, that maybe it's more, maybe it's less. The CDC will say it's like 5 to 8. But when you go around and interview 1,000 people and men say it would be a miracle to find a woman that slept with 5 to 8, that's when you start thinking it's higher. And the other problem is those stats don't take into account women that are not participating. And many times the reasons they're not participating is obesity. Now look, that's a whole rabbit hole. Men do that, or Myron says to do that so men can protect themselves from predatory women. It's a response to us, ladies. So instead of us talking to each other and say, hey, we got to get our act together, the tradcon feminist women's response is to shame the men for doing what they got to do to protect themselves. Now, look, I'm not saying that doesn't come with other problems. I'm not even saying that men should do that. Every guy's got to decide for himself what he wants to do. But isn't it a bit out of order for women to be telling men what to do? I'm just a describer. I don't tell guys, look, all the guys that are watching, do what you want with your life. Please make no decision because of me. Please, please, God, don't. The only person that is going to have to face consequences for your choices in life is you. So, Mrs. Ziegler says, I don't trust the CDC much these days. Yeah. The only men okay with single mothers haven't done so or are currently dating one. Point 2, add insecure. Yeah, so let's talk about the tactics. So when there is information that women don't like, please show the whiteboard again. Younger women are hotter, men prefer virgins. The best women tend to marry before 25. There's more, but any information, that makes women look bad, like women tend to date bad boys in their youth and get a cleanup guy after. Any of that, any more information to men, the women will do shaming tactics. Now, the first one is gaslighting. Now, how do women gaslight? Not all women are like that. That's just the Miami horse that you guys pick. But all the men get together and say, we're having the same problem. And the men, remember, these forums are decades old. So all the men got together and they're in Asia, they're in Greece, they're all over the world, and they're saying, oh, you guys, your bitch dated a bad boy too, and then she left you and stopped sleeping with you after you guys got married. Oh, shit. My charger's about to die. Then, oh no. Hey, Blessing, can you come over here? I need you to, oh wait, hold on. I got it. That's all right. Then, so they'll say not all women are like that. And then the men kind of get together and they're like, I think most women are like this because we're all having the same experience. The next thing they'll do is call you insecure. So during this 2 years, I have learned why men do not open up. I'll tell you what. When I went on Myron's show like 3 years ago now, they said you should never open up to a woman. And I was like, isn't that a little extreme? Not the women today. They'll tear you apart. And there's no difference. The Christian women, I think the Christian women on Twitter are actually worse. So there's an interview I did like 3 years ago. And in this interview, I talked about really, I guess, my first heartbreak when I was younger. And I don't really, it doesn't matter anymore. Who cares? But I think everybody gets their heart broke at some point. For the most part, unless you marry your first love. But most people didn't. So at some point, who doesn't get their heart broke? Blessing, have you ever gotten your heart broken?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever taken an L? Guys in the chat, have you ever taken an L?
Put a 1 in the chat.
Yeah, put a 1 in the chat if you guys have taken an L. And this was okay. I was in college, and I was in love. I was in love. And, he chose a different chick. And it was an L. It was an L. But, I think it was the right choice because I'm pretty sure they got married. So, it was the right pick. But, it was a big L. And to this day, the women will still bring up this clip of me talking about something that happened years ago as evidence, as that is why I'm talking about the things I'm talking about. Who in life hasn't taken an L? They did this again with, there's a clip of me talking about really how in high school I struggled with being a bit insecure. I mean, put a 1 in the chat. Was anyone not insecure in high school? I mean, It's kind of an awkward time in your life. And for years, this is what they do. They say they psychoanalyze you. Anything that you do now is because of any negative thing that happened to you. Now, guys, I have had an amazing life. Truly. I thank my lucky stars every day I've gotten to live the life I have. I grew up with 9 siblings. My parents were still married. They started a software company together. Now, we did have nannies. And again, these women try to psychoanalyze me. They say, oh, Pearl is just so damaged. Ah, Pearl's life was so hard because she had nannies. I got to do any activity that I wanted. If I wanted to play piano, my parents bought me a piano. I tried to play drums, they bought me drums. My parents were so supportive of what I wanted to do in life. My parents were believers in hard work. They believed that you worked hard at what you wanted to do. And my dad always told me to chase what you love, to do what you love because the money will come. Life isn't about money. And to this day, there's things my parents have told me that really just stick with me. Like I look back and I think, wow, I am so freaking lucky that I grew up with these amazing people. In the summers, my parents would take a month off and we would just travel somewhere. We went to the Midwest, we went to the Grand Canyon. We would go hike there. We went to Crater Lake. Who gets to do that? Nobody. And they'll still paint me as this traumatized kid because I had a hard time in high school. I got my heart broke. And I realized this is what men go through. Any information that you tell women about your childhood, about a struggle you went through, women use it later to hold over your head and psychoanalyze you for a lifetime. And I understood why men never open up. Because again, remember, the way that these women treat me, I am a stranger talking on the internet. Why am I getting them so angry? I am saying information they don't want the men to know because they will lose power. That is why they're mad. If I say, hey, women, we have a bunch of useless jobs. Our jobs are not as important as the men's. The women lose power because now it kind of makes you look twice and you think, none of these women are contributing the same amount of men. I include myself. I think Myron, Kevin Samuels, they're the true leaders of this, the red pill space, I guess you could say. Even Rollo Tomasi, he doesn't like me, but, even him, I would still say that they're, women, we just don't contribute the same. And instead of the women having some humility, saying, you know what? Okay. Or even gratitude for the men. Say, you know what? Thank you to the men for actually allowing us to have some of these easier jobs. No, they get mad because they are losing power. They're losing influence. They do not want the men to know this. The next thing, so that I understood why men do not open up to women. Oh my gosh, it made perfect sense because you'll hear about it for a freaking lifetime. My God. I mean, I was like, imagine they're trying to make me a victim as probably one of the most privileged people on the planet. Guys, I worked a sales job. I had 2 jobs before I did YouTube. I worked in plumbing tech and I worked in sales, other than internships. Plumbing tech and then sales. I sold copiers for 2-3 years. My parents were so supportive. They allowed me to quit my job, move home, and pursue what I wanted to pursue. And I'm a victim? And I'm traumatized because I took an L? An L? Okay, you crazy ladies. And so, again, they don't want the men. They don't want their husbands. Many of these women don't want their husbands to know that they married their second choice. When you're a woman's first choice, she'll move to you. She'll take your last name. She'll convert to your religion. You will know. Most men will never experience that, unfortunately. I don't say this with a happy heart. but most men will never know what it's like to have a woman actually respect your authority. You know, you go to him with your problems. You listen to him when he tells you something. You don't argue. You don't psychoanalyze. It is just a different experience when a man is your first choice. And most men have never experienced it. And when I talk about women get a cleanup guy after, most men or most women, they're with their second choice and they don't want the men to know. Okay, so the next thing that women do is reputation destruction. Now, the number one way I have seen women ruin reputations by saying they lie in the weirdest way. They lie by telling half-truths. Half-truths. Things that are, I guess, partially true. For example, you know, I might have said at one point that at times, for example, okay, what I said earlier about Pearl taking an L. Most people have taken an L in life. That's true. That was an L. Big L. Any of you take an L? I've taken an L. And they'll say that's true. But then they'll take this is the trauma. They just love being victims. They love it. They love it, love it, love it. Okay. The next thing they'll do is a need to be right. Now, look, guys, in this whole monologue, I've talked about places that I was wrong. That I was I always reserve the right to be wrong. And the way they have a need to be right is they change the definitions of things. Yes. Yes, 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 yes. What they'll tend to do is I'll give you an example. I was arguing with this chick on Twitter, and I said, hey, lady, I said, women that want to be with their husbands don't need date nights. And typically what you'll see is women that are proud to be with their husbands will brag about their husbands. Women that are not proud to be with their husbands will brag about the things that man does for them or how happy they make the husband, or they'll brag about the relationship as the gold standard. Typically, relationships that you want, you just see. Like they're just natural. They don't have to brag. It's not a whole show. And there was one chick that was arguing. I can't even remember who it was. And she said, and I said, women that truly want to be with their husbands don't need date nights. This chick decided that a date night is now sitting on the couch. We all know what the definition of a date night is. We all know. I mean, nobody thinks, when we think date night, nobody thinks sitting on the couch. But this woman wanted to be raped so bad, they changed the definition. They changed the definition of abuse. We saw that in the Crowder case. Yelling became emotional abuse. Getting $22,000, I can't remember the actual number, but $20K roughly a month. I mean, one in the chat, would you take a slap once a month for $20K? Blessing, would you?
A slap?
Yeah, like once a month. If you got slapped, would you?
One slap.
Like hit hit your face.
Yeah, I'll take 20K.
Yeah, just like once a month.
Yeah, I'll take 20K.
No, I mean, I think, would you get yelled at once a month for $20K a month?
Yeah, you can yell for 20K.
Freaking A. Yeah, I mean, now that's abuse. The next thing they'll do is they'll call you gay. This is one they've thrown at me. They will, and they'll clip you out of context. Lauren Southern recently did this. There was a time where there was a video of me saying, I was talking about my critics and detractors, talking about how I do this for money. And I was quoting them, and then she cuts it and puts it like I was saying that. It's like, why? What are these ladies are so crazy. They have fucked up their lives so bad, and they make it everyone else's problem. Like I did this. Like I made you do that. Um, yeah. And so then the other thing they do is they go around and they destroy your reputation by saying things that are not true, taking clips out of context. And it's sneaky even in the influencer space. They'll send clips to people they're friends with. They have like attack dogs. It's just a weird thing. It's a weird thing. So again, the way that women respond to me is how they respond to information they don't like. I'm not the enemy. So I thought about this. And I've been working on this book. Hold on. I want to deal with women that actually want to win. So many women are lazy, argumentative losers. I recently spoke to a woman she said she used to be triggered by me. She was 37, I think, at the time. And really, I just knew by talking to her, this is a woman that's going to win. She was a hard worker. She was coachable. She was actually pleasant to be around. Even though she was a little older, I knew she was going to win. Because women that want to win will work to win. They don't cry about the information. She said instead of getting triggered, she took it as a challenge. She got on the dating apps. She started swiping. She got in shape. She learned to dress a little bit better. She learned to cook. And now she's engaged. Women that don't want to win will cry about the information. They will cry about the words they do not like. Women that want to win will take the information and make their lives better. There are good women out there. I actually think that the market is so inflated, ladies, it's not even over. I've seen 40-year-old women win. Now look most of them will absolutely lose. I've seen single mothers win. Now again, I've seen divorcees win. I've seen old women win. But they had a couple things. They were hard workers. They were coachable. They could take criticism. They didn't engage in these crazy tactics. They didn't shame. They didn't guilt. They didn't have a need to be right. And they came in with the most important thing, some humility. Yes. Yes. And how can you see how people truly are is how they act when they get offended. Most women, when they get offended, all hell breaks loose. They think it's okay to do any of the things that I listed. So yeah, I really just wanted to talk today about, you guys can make me the villain, you can shoot the messenger. I don't really give a shit. Because there are women that want to win. And there are women that actually want to work towards figuring this stuff out. And they don't get mad at the information. They're just thankful it's there. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Please sign up. I want to read this. D. Miller, taking a loss is important. It helps you refine what's important in life. When you take a loss, you look at it correctly. It motivates you to pursue the best things for you. Yeah, and this is my point, guys. Everyone in life, it's freaking life. People are going to take L's. I actually don't even think if someone's a single mother, it doesn't mean they're necessarily a bad person. But you're a bad person when you alienate the kid from the father, don't let him see the dad, and call the father an abuser online. That's bad. Negative. Nasky. No. Andrew Copeland. Women are histrionic as well. A lot learn to cry on demand with an agenda. Oh no, she's extremely upset. It must be true. Nathaniel, like the Walter case from Fresh and Fit. Half-truths to damage his reputation. Yes. The Fresh and Fit was a perfect example. Half-truths. Put it online. Women do not want men to know their worth. They don't. Because if men knew their worth, they probably wouldn't date fat women, women with tattoos, single mothers, and old women. But men are constantly told that women are the prize. We will never be happy in a relationship with the men worshiping us. Women will only be happy. We fall in love by doing things for men. That is how we fall in love. Another way you'll see women shame men is by telling men that they have to get a family. That way, women can be as terrible and awful. And if men still are not real men if they don't settle down and have a family. You see the trad cons pushing this. These simp men. Many of the men that will rationalize their decisions, it's because they made a bad pick because they didn't have this information. And Pearl is the bad guy for pointing it out. They made all the prophets villains. All right, I'm not a prophet. Don't. I'm just a chick that's observing what's going on in the world. That's it. Take the power back by promoting no pay May. You know, and this is what's going to happen, guys. There is a simp bubble. Men are realizing that women are just not worth it. They're not looking for dates anymore. They're kind of walking away from dating. They're walking away from relationships. They're realizing we're not worth the trouble. And until women take this information and use it to better our lives, we're not going to be able, OnlyFans women aren't going to make the same amount of money they used to make. Women aren't going to get these free dates we used to get. Women aren't going to get to go on all these crazy trips and whatever. There is a bubble and it's going to pop soon. You know, ladies, I'm not the villain. I'm actually one of the few people that's being honest. Many men will lie to you. They will say that they don't mind fat, old, single mothers, when in reality, they won't touch them with a 10-foot pole. But it is easier to lie to women than to be honest. It is easier to be the Steve Harveys of the world. It is easier to be the panderers than it is to be honest with women. Because there are so many consequences for being honest. Being honest might get you an abuse charge. Being honest might make you lose your job. Being honest might make you lose your female customer base because women make 80% of the buying decisions. Being honest might not get you elected. Men are never honest. And you can make me the villain because I am honest. So, for a woman. For a woman. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. That's really all my thoughts today. Please, guys, subscribe to the audacitynetwork.com. We're really struggling here. It's been really tough getting demonetized. So if you could get the yearly membership, really, I'd appreciate it. I really want to build a community on there. At some point, if we get enough members, I'd like to put on events. I'd really like to have some self-improvement stuff for women and for men. That's all in one place that everyone can kind of do together. There's also, if you guys, I respond to the live chat first on the Audacity Network, so please go there, like the video on your way out, subscribe to the channel, and I'll talk to you next time.